The Big Ten is far from the only league to see its third-year stars opt out. LSU wide receiver Jamar Chase, his teammate, defensive tackle Tyler Shelvin, Virginia Tech defensive back Caleb Farley, and other pro prospects across the country have made the same call. More now on a situation college football has never seen the likes of, as Urban Meyer and Gerry DiNardo discuss the effects of both the departing player and the program he leaves behind in this edition of Urban Analysis.
Coach, Jamie Newman, the quarterback of Georgia, just decided to opt out of the season. You know, we've seen Rashad Bateman, we've seen Rondell Moore, Micah Parsons from Penn State. I'm curious if you think after COVID is behind us, if we're going to start seeing after sophomore year or after the second year of eligibility, we're going to start seeing players opt out.
Well, I've talked to some people in the American Football Coach Association, and every conversation, every committee has student athlete representation, which is good. What we can anticipate seeing is that the restrictions on, first of all, transferring at some point disappearing. You know, right now there's a push for a one-time transfer. Most other sports, I believe, you can transfer at any time. But football, they're anticipating that. And the unintended consequence of that might be forever just open transfer. So you can leave anytime you want. The second thing is that you eliminate all restrictions on moving on to professional sports, professional football. So Zeke Elliott runs for 250 against Alabama his sophomore year. He says, you know, it's time for me to go. He can go. And I was part of the college football world when they started making you stay for 3 years, then you could leave. And I think you say it best that people adapt, you know, coaches adapt, the game will adapt, people will adapt, et cetera. However, there's going to be collateral damage with that. So yes, I think that will be the new normal. And I think agents, there's great agents and there's very bad agents, just like there's great coaches and bad coaches. And the collateral damage is going to be in its heartbreaking. You've seen it, I've seen it, where an agent or someone gets a hold of this player and says, you're ready to go to the NFL. Let's forego that chance at an education, an opportunity to live a college life and make contacts and get your life in order so you can survive. And they're going to say, I'm going to go be a first-round draft pick or whatever, and they don't. They're not.
But the positive about this is, you know, Chase Young, maybe after his sophomore year, still would have been a first-round pick. And so the collateral damage is more for the program than it is for the individual. It seems to me that the adjustment that's going to have to be made, and you talk about this a lot, Urban, is we have to build enough trust that the mid-rounder that is being told by the agent that he is going to be a first, second rounder, we have to, as coaches, build enough trust that they believe us more than they believe the agent. Because if someone is ready after their sophomore year, and I use Jadeveon Clowney as an example, I don't know why I chose to use him all the time, but when they made him stay his sophomore and junior year, he perhaps could have made $10 million those 2 years. That's $20 million he may never be able to earn. And maybe the same thing is true for a lot of the Big Ten players. So the adjustment has to be, if someone's ready, let's make sure they have the right agent. If someone's not ready, let's try to build enough trust that they listen to us and not the agent.
Let's talk about Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott didn't have to come back after we won the national title. And I get that. However, you pointed out a guy like Chase Young would not have been, you know, he would have been probably a late first rounder and he recouped. But that, to me, those ones, that is a personal decision. Like you said, that's something you got to risk reward it because you got the Jalen Smith issue. I watched that. We were actually playing him, the great linebacker at Notre Dame that cost himself $20 million by playing in the Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State. And now he's doing fine, but I mean, that's money he will not recoup. So those are great conversations. I always go back to the collateral damage of that young person because I've seen it and it just shatters you when you see a 21-year-old wake up and say, hey, I need to go back to school. And then I talk to him. I'm sure you have too. And it's like, Coach, I made the most incorrect decision I've ever made in my life, and I'm going to try to put the pieces back together. And there are the Jadeveon Clowneys, but that's a very small percent.